Hey little hoes, I'm Kristen and welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be the third and last of the countdown for 2019. And today's video is going to be my top 3 favorite plants of this year. And it doesn't have to be necessarily ones that I've gotten this year, just ones that have impressed me this year. So I will start out with number 3, which is going to be that I have showed you guys quite a bit lately, but I just can't get over how awesome it is. It's going to be my Pgia Sandrasoni, and I figured I would also do a little bit of a care video on these guys too, my top 3. And for this guy, it's still new enough that I don't know long-term proper care, but it seems pretty easy. It has continuously bloomed for this big one, and I think once the plant is pretty well root established, it tends to have flowers. I've also been occasionally fertilizing with more bloom. Pretty impressed with it overall. It seems pretty succulent and hardy, and like I mentioned before, my other cutting version has started to put off a lot more new growth lately. Now for number 2, I have mentioned it also a fair amount this year, but this is the Philodendron Mikeins, and this right here is one that was probably 2 cuttings that I started fairly early this spring from my main plant, which is hanging up over there. It was just kind of wedged in its terrarium, so I didn't get that one down. But Mikeins is an incredibly easy plant to grow. It's going to be similar to growing, your heart-leafed philodendrons and pothos. And one thing is, the more sunlight you put it in, the probably more intense red you're going to find on the foliage. And I got this, I want to say, about a year ago from the SCC greenhouse. I've spotted this one and only Mikeins, and at the time this was one of my top tier wish list plants, so I was pretty stoked to find it. I am going to try and at some point maybe combine the 2 plants, possibly just keep propagating more. I do want to have a nice big basket of it at some point, and I might put it in the macrame that I have above the table in the living room. So care for this, honestly, very easy. You will notice when it starts to dry out, the leaves will very gently start to curl, so that's kind of a sign it needs water. Other than that, sort of treat it as you would any other of the heart-leafed philodendrons, pothos. But they do tend to get leggy, just as those vines do. So if you're going to propagate quite a few of them to try and fill out your basket and make it look fuller. But yeah, super happy with it. And I just want to point out this cool twin leaf that popped out as I was propagating it. It's like fused together. So that's my number 2. And number 3 is my absolute all-time favorite plant of this year. I bought it on Etsy early this spring, and it came as just tiny little starter plant. I'll try and put the unboxing video picture up, or a little insert of it, to show you where it started. And where it is now is pretty incredible. It's grown at least a foot, and here it is. This is, can't even get all of it in the shot. This is the Philodendron Squam. Oh my god, it's so incredible. And the stems have stayed quite red. It looks like they do, as they age, the petioles do turn more of a green, but you can see just how furry and red they are, and how gorgeous these big shiny leaves are. Oh, look, it's gonna get right in your face. It is incredible. And this right here is literally just a piece of wind chime that I have it staked to at the moment. I do need to figure out a better situation, because when I staked it, it was right down here. It has grown another probably 10 inches or so since I put that stake in a few months ago. It responds really well to fertilizer, I think. Between that and the plant establishing its root system, it's really taken off with that new growth. For care for it, honestly, it doesn't seem to require too much. The soil I put it in wasn't my aeroid mix that I concocted. It is actually just a very gritty mix. I believe I had some extra cactus mix along with my all-purpose soil, which is going to be the Pro Mix, and I believe it's HP. I might have put a little extra vermiculite in here too, or not vermiculite, perlite in here too, just to add some grit. I was originally going to plant something else in here, but decided the squamiferum would do good, which is why that soil was in the pot already concocted. I do need to wash the leaves off, but again, overall, it's incredibly happy and healthy. It's in the bathroom, so I'm sure maybe the humidity is aiding to its fast growth. That being said, at some point it's probably going to need to be moved to the living room, where it can have a little bit more legroom, just based on how fast it's growing. I don't know if I am going to, I'm sure at some point I'm going to have to top it and try and root that, but I am going to see how tall I can get this main plant without, having to put in a skylight or something. But this is my Philodendron Squamiferum, and this is my favorite plant of 2019. Honestly, I wish all my philodendrons grew this fast and this well. It is very encouraging to grow this plant. It's amazing, and it has inspired me, as you guys might have seen from my previous videos, that I do want to try and collect a few more philodendrons with as amazing. Also, I asked boyfriend what his favorite plant was of 2019, and very surprisingly, he picked one that was on my ditch list, and I will link that video below. Yeah, so it is, let me turn you around, the Fenestraria, or baby toes. I really don't like this plant. You can see how leggy it is and floppy. I like the Haworthia that's in with it, but not the baby toes. And I was telling him how it was on my ditch list, and he made me promise that I wouldn't get rid of it because he likes the little weird, almost eyeball-like protrusions here. Fun fact, plants like this guy and a lot of Haworthia have these weird sort of clear nubs or like window panes to help allow in more light. I think it's pretty awesome. But yeah, this guy, I have in as much sun as I possibly can. It's still leggy. I don't really know if I can give care tips on it since I'm not doing the best with it. You can also see how some of it, the older portions, have died out, and the new growth is kind of just hanging off the edge. So at some point I might need to take this out and try and reestablish, reroot some of those little bits. But that is going to be Casey's favorite plant of 2019. Also wanted to say that I had a few runners up for favorite plant of 2019. One is going to be the ever popular Monstera Adansonii. This guy, again, it's very easy care for it. I wouldn't even hesitate to say you could probably treat it the same way you do with the Mikeins, the pothos, the heart-leafed philodendrons. Pretty easy. And I'm sure most of you know by now, if you stake the plant, you're probably going to get bigger leaves and better fenestrations. If you let it vine like mine, you will see it will send runners out pretty far. I think 12, 15 feet is about the size of my longest vines. Again, I did have to cut off some of them because they were trailing on the ground, they weren't receiving sunlight, and there were some very long naked branches on them. But again, it does, especially now that it's pot bound, it does require pretty heavy saturations, at least once weekly. And in the summer months, I probably do it twice, if not more. But you can see I have a whole bunch of new growth. Let's see if you can see that. It's that brighter, lighter green coloration. And that is, I believe, going to be a response to the fish fertilizer I used. Yeah, I think that's going to be one of my honorable mentions. Also, an honorable mention must go to this lush Rhipsalis bassiferia. And it's even starting to put, I didn't notice, some tendrils up, and it's snaking out over there. So there are kind of various amounts of information on Rhipsalis. I think it's one of those plants that you just have to grow and figure out for yourself. Mine is in the sunroom, full sun, and I do believe the Rhipsalis are going to benefit. Oh my god, that's making me seasick. Gonna benefit from as much sun as you can possibly give them. And this guy I put in just my all-purpose Pro Mix soil. And I didn't put it in cactus mix. I know some people do, but this has had a lot of success with just the plain old potting soil for me. I let it dry out pretty well between waterings. I probably don't even water it weekly as I tend to with a lot of other plants. My lace flower up there drips quite a bit of water onto it as it's getting watered. You can see it's got a number of air roots started there. And I got this guy, I want to say it's last winter. And easy care. It's doing quite a bit better than some of my other Rhipsalis or false Rhipsalis, whatever category you want to put them into. So I had a lot of fun making this video and doing the 3-day video countdown, which I managed to get all 3 done and edited and uploaded right down to the wire. But I would love to hear what your guys' favorite plants were of the year. Did you have any honorable mentions as well? Does your significant other like plants, and do they have a favorite plant? So I think that will be about all. I hope you guys had a great holidays and have a happy, happy New Year. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye!